Let's have a look at a sample permit provided by DCC for the training course. In this case, we can see that we have a permit number WP 2022 is the year, and then 0556 is the permit number. Note that I'm going to hit edit, and when I hit the edit button, the top part of the screen becomes active and I can change the details. After that then, when you're creating a new permit, the second part of this permit, the lower part here of the tabs, becomes active after you save it. So I'm just going to hit the edit button again, so we'll have a closer look at the top. So the permit number is 556. It's in a zone 2, and there's a drop down list of the different types of zoned areas. The location is Certa Arklow, but note down here there are a number of other locations as well. So but in this case, Arklow has been selected. Sometimes when you select a work permit, their pop-up window will appear here to let you know that another permit is also active in the area. This is just for information purposes. It may influence you to decide not to proceed with your own planned work on the day, given the fact that there's another permit already active. The exact location on site is basically free text box, and the information inside here can be just help you identify exactly where the work is going to be commencing. The start date has been entered over here, which is the 18th of October, and in this case 8:30 in the morning, and then the end date is put in, which is the 19th of October at 5 p.m. in the evening. If the date needed to be changed, you can change the date at the bottom here, or you can also change the time at the bottom with the time picker. The type of work is a drop-down menu, so we have repairs, project works, or maintenance. In this case, it's repair work. And there's a work reference number then of 102456 that's been entered, which kind of links the work permit reference forward to the current work permit. The contract manager box can be used if that person has to be identified on the permit. Over here is an employee, and this pertains particularly to DCC. This is a DCC employee. It's not where we put in the contractor. That comes in just a minute. There are different sub-permits then. So this is like a general permit so far, but when you come over here, there are different sub-permits available, and you can add multiple permits here. And in a minute, we'll see where the details for each of these permits appear further down the page under the tab section. But at the moment, in the sample case, it's been determined that we're doing a hot work and also electrical work. A description of the work can be put in over here as well. So what needs to happen. And down over here, the comments are basically in place as well. So over here, the comments may be sometimes used at the maybe a shift handover as well and stuff like that. But the description is the most important one here, which is what exactly needs to happen. The next bit down, the active box doesn't need to be ticked. If you make this as a no, that'll delete the permit. So please don't touch that unless you want to delete the permit. And then down below here, we can see the contractor. So if I select this in here, we will see other contractors on a drop down list, or you see yourself on it, and then you can come in and you can select it. So in this case, DCC is the test contractor. The reason a red dot appears behind it is that there is information on the contractor portal about this test contractor that's out of date. So in this case, we can see it's a risk assessment, but it could equally be some training for this employee. It might be the insurance of your company. It could be the safety statement that's out of date. It could be that they haven't done induction. So the permit system will flag to the client that information about certain contractors is out of date, and that might actually prevent that employee from getting a permit. Please note here as well, okay, your company must be on the system to get a permit. All the employees who are going to be involved with doing work at DCC must be on the system. If they're not on the system, they won't be selectable on the drop-down menu here. Please note as well, sometimes some of the contractors use mapping where they might list some employees to be only available to some clients and different employees to different clients. If you haven't mapped the employee, then that might create an issue. So just make sure that the employee is there and it's visible to DCC. So in this case, we're happy with the information. Okay, we're going to hit the save button. And what you see then outside is a number of different tabs will appear and to be completed. So the first one is where there's a step where the different steps involved come in. Now, it might be a single step in certain cases, but in here we're following certain steps for the work, and there's certain descriptions of the work to be done under each step. A hazard has been identified, and then the necessary controls over here as well put in place. The risk, which is the risk without controls, is identified in this case as medium. The residual risk, which in this case means the risk with the controls in place, is low. So in this case, adding in steps and so forth can be done over here. You put in the step description. Different hazards can be added. When you add hazards, certain controls are there. If you're putting in multiple hazards, put in the hazards first, because if you start adding controls and then a new hazard, it will overwrite the controls you already specified. So try to select the hazards first and then to do the controls. You can select this or all of them together. Down below, if there's a control, you can't add a new hazard. Okay, you cannot come in and type in a new hazard on the list here. It must be available. If there's a hazard that you feel is appropriate that's not on the list, please contact DCC, your contact person, and tell them you need a new hazard on the list. Over here though, you will see the controls. It is possible to add a new control. So what you have to do here though is make sure the control you're adding is relevant to the particular hazard. So select the particular hazard from the drop down list, then type in here, and maybe in this case it might be ear defenders for noise. So in this case you can come in and save it. So it is possible to add controls but not hazards during it. You select the risk and then you can put in the residual risk, which is the risk without the controls in place. Any attachments, if you have any attachments, you can put them in over here. You hit the yes button and you can upload your attachment just like this, and just identify the type of attachment. In this case it's a RAMs, and also a reference number for the particular RAMs that you're updating. If you're using equipment over here, you can come in then and you can identify the equipment to be used. These are free text boxes, so put in the equipment and tools that you're going to use for the work, and down below here then specify the equipment name and number that you're going to work on. So if you're working on pump 456, put in pump 456, and that means we don't want to work in pump 123. So but again, these are free text boxes. When it comes to the isolations, you can come in here and we can identify the isolation if we need to do one. If it's relevant, come in, hit the add isolation. There's a drop down list of certain types of isolations that are possible. So in this case, you want to come down, select the isolation, put in the location of the isolation. Again, that's free text. This is the important one. Who did it? If it's a contractor doing it, you can select contractor, and then you can select the name of the contractor here. If it's a DCC employee doing it, then the DCC employee names will be there. The isolation date and time, then the inspection of the isolation, and later on when the work is complete, the restoration can be identified here. But it's important that if you're a contractor, you select contractor, and then you should see your names over here if that employee is on the system. The gas test, again, it's a similar method. If you come in over here to the gas test, we can come in and add a gas test. So we have different gas tests. If you need to do a different gas test that isn't on the list, you can't just type it in here. Please contact DCC and the new gas test will be added for you. Over here is the gas test result. You put in the unit of measure. Again, if you have a different unit of measure, let DCC know, and that can be added to the drop down list. Who did the test? Well, if it's a DCC employee, they select here. If it's a contractor, you select this name, you select that, and then the appropriate contractor name. And down below over here then as well, we can put in the date that the test was done, the date, time, and also, so we have the date, and we can also put in the time, that the date and time, and then the outcome of the gas test as well as you do. And don't forget to save. If there are multiple gas tests, you can just repeat this process again. PPE requirements, again, come down if there are PPE requirements specified. In this case, we've already specified some in the system, but if you have to add in a new piece of PPE or edit something, you can come down here. You can remove ones just like this, and you can just re-enter them again by typing in the name and just seeing what's available or on the drop down list as well, and hit save. Again, if you need to add a new piece of PPE and it's not on the list, please let DCC know, and it'll be very easy and quick to add in a new piece of PPE there as well. The next bit is very important. There's a general questionnaire that will be visible on all permits. This needs to be completed. There are questions inside there, and also underneath the general questionnaire are questions specific if a sub-permit has been identified. In this case, we have two, hot work and electrical. We have two sub-permits. There will also be questions for these two. So hit the questionnaire section, and you will see on the page then the different types of questions that come in. So the general requirements will be on all, and you can select yes, no, not applicable, and put in comments. Please note in this one, because there are comments being put in, there is a save option at the very bottom, and it's important to save before you change to a different screen. Okay, if you don't save on this particular screen, the changes won't be made, because as I said, we're putting in free text and these have to be saved inside. So the save button is at the bottom of the screen. So that's the general requirements on all permits, and we're now looking for hot work and electrical. So we come down here, we've hot work, and we've questions down here about hot work. For example, area clear of combustible materials and competent people. Again, go through the questions and answer them, put in any remarks as you may see fit, and then because we have electrical, the electrical questions are there, and please go through and complete them. Again, if you have any queries, contact the relevant DCC person. But again, I repeat, please hit the save button on the screen. It's very important to save the data. The sign off section is important. The sign off will typically have a number of stages. So when the work is complete, then you can come down here to the system and you can sign it off. So again, you need to specify if you're a contractor, you can come in over here and then you select your own name from the contractor list. If you were using a hybrid version, okay, where the permit was prepared electronically and then you were working off a printed copy, it is possible over here to take a printed copy at the end of the day and upload it onto the system. That might only be though in certain exceptional circumstances, but the provision is allowed there to upload a paper copy if DCC should require that at some stage. And at this stage, then it comes back into Circle K. The step that I skipped over here is after you go through working on a permit. Okay, so this is the whole process from going through, seeing all the information on it, and you coming down to complete it. If you come back though, what I'm going to just change the status of this. If you go back to one step, and I want to bring this back to a draft mode. In this case, what actually happens, okay, I'm going to call this just for training. What happens over here is you will notice then that there is no sign off section at the bottom. Okay, so when you start working on a permit, the first bit of the permit that's going to be visible at the top is here. You're going to work on this. You complete the information as necessary. You hit save, and then these tabs will appear. You complete all of them, and then when you're ready to send it for approval, you hit the request for approval button. There are a number of permit people within DCC who can approve the permit. You select that button over here. In this case, I'm going to hit Eanna, going to hit send for approval, and Eanna will then get an email to say that a certain contractor has requested a permit to be approved. Eanna can then accept or reject that permit approval, but as soon as Eanna accepts it, then the sign off section as well will become active as well, and we'll be able to continue on through the process. So that's just a quick overview of how the permit to work system works at DCC. You can print the permit at any stage up here as well. So we can come back, hit the print button and see the printed copy as it is on the screen, and the information should be the same as on the permit. It's good to verify that, and also then if you need to download that, hit the Adobe Acrobat download, or you can save it as a text file over here as well, should you so require. Note the status of the permit will appear up here, which is still pending approval, so the permit has not been approved. It will change here. You get an email, but it'll also change status within the permit as well here when the status of the permit is ready to be worked on.